My name's Alec Farmer. I'm 32. I was born in the Midlands and I am not a member of any political party. I would love to be considered Scottish. I moved up here 14 years ago or so and didn't really realise quite what an amazing country it is. I discovered Glencoe and the Highlands and just fell in love completely. I run a company called Trakke and we manufacture wax canvas backpacks and messenger bags, lifestyle accessories really for people who love being outdoors. I started in 2010 while I was at university, and really I was just looking for a bag that I couldn't find easily up here, and I decided to make my own. I was really into cycling and fixed gear cycling and things like that at the time. That was a big scene, and I started making messenger bags. We had a little market stall down at the Barras market in the East End where we used to sell things at the weekends. Over the years, that's changed quite a lot. Now we sell online only. We have a big workshop in Finnieston area of Glasgow, and there's now 15 of us working. At the very beginning, I was using recycled materials that I found on the street. Now we use really, really high quality materials, often made in Scotland, and just try and make really nice, good looking products that work really well and are built to last a lifetime, really. My pandemic experience has been full of highs and lows, I guess. From a work perspective, we've gone from some really slow months that have been really, really challenging, and trying to support our staff and all of that stuff, followed by sort of the release of the lockdown last year. We had an amazing 6 months. We had a lot of community engagement. We were making face masks to help to support the COVID situation and using some of those proceeds to donate to charities who were providing broader support, primarily in Scotland. I think since the beginning of COVID, it has been a challenge to work normally. I would say that obviously in the first 3 months, it was a big shock for us, as it was for everyone. And there was a lot of time spent making sure that we were looking after our staff, protecting them. And then when we reopened, I mean, of course, there was a lot of health and safety questions and concerns. And so the whole year really has been a challenge. I think from a personal perspective, you know, as with everyone else, it comes with a lot of mental challenges, trying to just live day-to-day life as normal. It's certainly a big shock to the system. But I think once we got into the groove of things at work, we found a system that worked. And even then, it was a challenge. I mean, trying to wear a mask all day long at work in the peak of summer, albeit Scottish summer. And I think a big thing has been that for most of us, it's been really the biggest social output as well of the whole year. We haven't seen as many people as we do when we're at work. And thankfully, got a really good crew, and we all get on really well. So we've been able to have some nice social interaction too while we're working away. Do I think there's an excessive drinking problem in Scotland? I don't think so. Today I'm drinking a mug of red wine from my new How No mug. It's never really caused me a problem. I've always found people in Glasgow in particular to be incredibly nice and hospitable. Often good banter when there's a beer in them too. I think that a lot of Scotland's identity is tied in with whiskey. So and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that whiskey represents a lot of great values in Scotland, and looking at a huge amount of provenance is included in whiskey. It's all about the place and the water and nature and tradition. Where do I see Scotland in 10 years? I think that's a tough one. I have my own hopes and dreams, and I've got my own ideas about where I think Scotland could be. But I think it's a very challenging one that's got a lot of nuances to it. Obviously, I think it seems likely that there'll be another push for independence. And I think after everything that happened after the last shout for independence, I think this time I'm much more in support of that idea. But at the same time, I disagree with Brexit. I think that broadly we are better in a community of countries working together. And so to sort of then, to disagree with Brexit but agree with Scottish independence is sort of a difficult fence to sit on, I guess. In terms of how our business might develop in the next 10 years, I think we're in a really interesting area where we make products to suit people living in the city, often people who are daydreaming at work about being outdoors. And I think that people's connection with the outdoors is getting stronger. Scotland obviously has fantastic land use rights, such as the right to roam. We've got bothies and things like that. There's a lot of good reasons to get outside in Scotland. I would like to add a track to the playlist, and I think I'm going to add a song called Jump Up Quickly by Mungo's Hi-Fi and Soon Tea. Mungo's Hi-Fi were like the soundtrack to starting track. When we sort of first started, there was a bar in Finniston called the 78, and they used to have a reggae night every Thursday. And Mungo's Hi-Fi used to run the reggae night, and it was like pretty small but really well attended. We always had a great time. And then sort of slowly but surely, they began to play bigger and bigger venues. And now I think are sort of quite well known all over the place. And it's been really amazing to see them like rise up and just dominate in that kind of reggae arena. So this is a tough one because I don't want to offend anyone, but I think the track that I would like to remove is there's one I famously hate Abba. I think Brexit's been an interesting one because obviously it's had a lot of impacts, but it's also been happening in tandem with a bunch of other things. I don't really agree with Brexit. I'd much rather that we were sort of part of Europe still, but we're in this situation and we'll make the best go of it that we can. And I think we're in an interesting position because on the one hand, it hasn't really affected us because we buy 95% of our materials here in the UK. So our supply chain has been pretty unaffected, and that's been great. But we ship direct to all of our customers, and that has been a challenge because just Europeans aren't familiar with buying things within the EU and then getting a customs or duty bill at their end. So it has got more expensive. It's got more difficult. There've been a lot of delays. So it has been tough. But I will try and continue to support them in as much as I can, because there are just so many brilliant places in Europe, and I think there's a lot of countries in Europe that have similar values to Scotland in many ways. So I think it's a really good relationship to have, and we'd certainly like to keep making bags and seeing them in the Alps and Scandinavia and the rest of Europe.
I'm Karen Calder, and I'm currently standing on the very windy west coast of Mallaig in Scotland. It's definitely cold, hence the hat. It's very windy, very rainy. I work for the Fisherman's Mission, which is a charity that supports retired and working fishermen. Basically are there for welfare needs, so anything that can come up, so financial issues, just generally supporting them in anything in life at the minute, and time's tough at the minute.